Hey, John Hickok here. Got the Glock 45 right here, playing with it some today, having some fun with it. It's pretty neat. It's a pretty neat Glock. The most noticeable thing about it, of course, is the front slide serrations. So at least for now, you can always point one of those out or spot it because of these front slide serrations. But if they start doing that on other models, of course, it won't look quite as distinctive. But it's an interesting pistol. It's very much like the 19X in the sense that you have the long Glock 17 style grip, but you have the short. Well, it's not short per se, but you have the shorter Glock 19 slide and everything. Of course, the front part of the frame, matches it and everything. So you have from here up, just like the 19X, basically Glock 19, and down here you have Glock 17, Gen 5. Essentially, it's basically a Gen 5 because you've got the beveling there on the front, and you've got the contour on the front, and then the beveling down here for the magwell, which I think is super unnecessary. And really, any double stack fed, magazine fed pistol that's not being used strictly for competition, it doesn't make any sense, because you basically already have beveling, because it comes to a point. It goes from this thickness to that thickness. I mean, you essentially already have that. People used 1911s without a beveled magwell, where you've got to actually match it up with almost no margin for error in combat for decades and decades. Not that it's ideal necessarily, but it just seems unnecessary. And it, especially on the shorter grip, it kind of bothers me, because I can feel it down there or whatever. I don't love it. On this one, you don't have the cutout like you do on some of the Gen 5s. But pretty neat gun. Before I shoot it, though, I want to remind you guys to please, when you can, support the people who support this channel, like budsgunshop.com. Go check them out, see what all they have to offer. They might have some of these, I don't know, but they have a lot of new guns over there. Also, Federal ammo. Be shooting Federal. Got 4 mags loaded up with Federal ammo, so appreciate them. Also, the NRA. If you have not yet joined the NRA, please go to the link in the description of this video and do that right now. And also SDI, the Sonoran Desert Institute. They're a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can become a gunsmith. So check that out for sure. All right, let's shoot it, see how it shoots. Now, you've heard Dad complain about the trigger on these things and the Gen 5s and the newer Glocks, and I have to agree with that, because I like the wall. I like a trigger that has a nice wall where you know where it's going to break. I know they say it's supposed to be a surprise. You're supposed to be a surprise when the trigger breaks and all that kind of stuff, but I don't care about any of that. I like to know, like, all right, right there, that's where it's starting to get stiff. When you break that it's going to fire. I don't like that gradual, almost like micro double action feel that some semi-automatic handguns have, even though, as Dad has also pointed out many times, it doesn't necessarily affect the shootability. It's just kind of a preference. Okay. I'll quit talking. I'm going to shoot. Let's start on the stop sign. I like to do that. All right. Got some extra mags in my pocket. Let's try. Go ahead and try over on the hill. I'll go ahead and start out with the gong. See if I can pop the gong with this thing. It's a 9mm, so shouldn't have to compensate for the drop or anything. All right, let's see if I can hit that buffalo. Got him a couple times. Try some close stuff. Last magazine. I struggle on that tree sometimes. So yeah, it shoots great. Of course, you know, I'm comfortable with Glocks for the most part. Grew up shooting them. It shoots about like what do you expect a Glock to shoot. Again, the trigger, you know, is not maybe what you would expect from some of the older ones. It almost reminds me more of like the really old Glocks, which I don't love. It's not quite as bad as like the really early Glocks, but it's a little bit more like those. The front serrations are cool. I like that. I kind of hope that they'll put those on some of the other models. I think that's kind of neat. It's a little bit, kind of boggles the mind a little bit. It's interesting that they're very Glock front serrations. You know, that's kind of funny to me that they're exactly like these back here. Shouldn't be surprised, I guess. But it's almost like, you know, is it going forwards or is it going backwards? It's kind of, you know, it boggles the mind a little bit if you're not used to seeing these. But I like it. It's really cool. Because I end up grabbing them up here a lot anyways, so it's nice having that up there. But you know, I'm not a huge fan of some of the Gen 5, you know, improvements. But you know, of course, this big disadvantage of this thing, though, at least in my eyes, would be the grip being the 17 length. I would rather just have a Glock 19 like this. Of course, you know, my perfect gun. Glock would be basically like a generation that has, like, let's see, like a Gen 4, because you still got the finger grooves. I actually like the finger grooves. I remember seeing people complain that they wanted to go back to the original Glocks that don't have the finger grooves. I like them. It feels good to me. Would be like a Gen 4 Glock with that same slide finish and the finger grooves and all that kind of stuff. And it's got that double, you know, recoil spring and all that helps a little bit, make it softer. But with the front slide serrations and then the contour on the front of the slide, you know, those are two things that I like about this. I don't really care about the ambi slide lock, but it's not in the way, you know, so why not have it on there? But yeah, it's pretty neat. I think it'll be pretty popular. It's a neat offering from Glock. I think it'll kind of kill the 19X. There'll be a lot of people, I think, trading in their 19Xs to try to get their hands on one of these things. But yeah, you know, not bad. The Glock 45, not a 45 ACP. They love to confuse us on that, especially with the Glock 40, which is a 10 millimeter, I think it was. I don't know. I'll have to go research that and figure that out. I can't remember. There's so many. But, you know, as Dad's pointed out, the numbers, the Glock model numbers are totally random. It would have been nice if they could have planned it to be a 45 ACP of some kind, because Glock 45 just has a really cool sound to it and a really cool ring to it. But whatever. The Glock 50, it'll be interesting to see what that is, because that's, you know, Glock 50 just sounds really cool. So I hope Glock 50 ends up being something neat and not something really forgettable, you know, but we'll see. All right, well, I appreciate you guys watching this video, and you know, I'll be around and I'll see you again. Thanks.